Have you ever walked out of a PACE meeting with ownership or leadership feeling like you just spent the whole hour trying to defend your work instead of making decisions about what to do next? Well, if you answered yes, this video is for you. My name's Christine Malfair. I help independent hotels get more booking. And because this experience in PACE meetings is more common than it actually should be, it's why I thought it was a really important topic to cover. It almost always comes down to one thing. The way that hotel marketing gets reported doesn't connect to the way that hotel performance is measured. And this is where we're seeing the disconnect. Because what typically happens is, like I said, you walk into the revenue meeting with a report that covers everything. You're coming in armed with data. You're thinking, isn't this what they want? Well, you're looking at the campaigns that ran, you're looking at the email open rates, you're looking at the social media followers and impressions and sort of all the visibility metrics and different things that go on in marketing. But while that all looks impressive, in your report, across the table, the GM and the ownership are thinking something completely different. And they're watching the pace. They're looking at gaps and opportunities. They're looking at where business is down. They're looking at booking windows. Is rate holding? And really, overall, what's the next 60 days hold? And they really have one question ready for you as a marketer before you've even opened your report. And that question is, what is marketing actually doing to drive bookings? And both sides walk in with a picture armed with data. Problem is that it's not the same picture. See, here's what changes everything maybe in how you're thinking about this. The platforms that hotel marketers use every day were built to report activity inside that platform. And that's what they're designed to do, and those platforms do it well. But platform activity and revenue activity are not the same story. So it's like crossing over the gap that you're feeling in the meeting. It's not really so much about marketing performance per se. It's about connecting that marketing performance or that reporting back to revenue. The problem, whatever may be the question that everybody wants answered. And that's actually good news because it is fixable. So you may be wondering how. This problem has been going on for years. And yes, I've experienced it myself. I've been the GM across the table who has questioned marketing. And I've also been the marketer across from GM and ownership who have talked about how marketing activities ladder up to revenue. So where do we go from here? Well, the first move is to stop leading with activity metrics and start leading with commercial signals. And by commercial signals, I mean buying intent signals. So activity metrics like impressions and reach and follower counts and open rates, they all confirm that marketing did something, but commercial signals show what a potential guest actually did while engaging with your marketing. So this would be things like booking engine starts. Did they go into the booking engine? Rate page visits or room page visits where they're actually looking at your quote unquote product. This might be email click-throughs to rooms and packages and looking through also maybe you have a form. So there's form submissions and so on. So these types of things are all intent signals, and these don't close a booking on their own per se, but they do show where marketing moved someone from I am aware to I'm interested, or as I like to say, keeping it simple, a looker to a potential booker, where they've moved through a decision process of I see this, I like this, what more do I need to do? Or no, rather, before I buy. And that's the part of the journey that marketing owns. So when you lead with booking engine starts instead of impressions, the question in the room shifts. You're talking about things that actually lead to revenue. So you can see how that works. So instead of them saying, well, how do these impressions mean anything? So somebody saw it. Okay, great. That's good. But you're not answering what did marketing create demand for and how did it show up? So you can see how this works. So answer the question in the room that everybody can participate in, like booking starts, like those intent signals I just covered. And the second takeaway I'm going to share with you is to organize your channels by the commercial job that they're hired to do. So you have certain commercial channels inside of your, what I like to call a marketing engine, and those channels have a job. Now, if you haven't labeled the job that they do, that is your first step. That is something that I like to do with all the hotels that I work with, is label the commercial job that they're hired to do. And I use a framework inside. I reference the revenue engine. There's 6 levers inside, or 6 gears, as I like to say, inside the revenue engine. But these are really, when you're giving your channels a job to do, I like to call that the hotel money-making mechanics. And so, yes, everything kind of revolves around cars and an engine, because that really is how marketing works. Every marketing activity is doing one of 5 jobs. It's either creating demand, it's capturing demand, it's supporting the buying decision, protecting revenue, or keeping the guest relationship. So when you organize your reporting at a job, the commercial job that it does, instead of the 20 separate dashboards or 20 separate pieces of information and data that you're getting from all of your platforms, you get one coherent picture of how marketing contributes to the full guest journey. And this is not something that I see a lot of hotels doing. They're still spinning all the plates. They've still got all these channels that they're trying to keep going. And then they show up in the marketing or in the PACE meetings, and you can see how this problem exists for many hotels. So the view, in this case, when you have reporting structured, reveals that most hotels are heavily weighted towards acquisition. That's the other thing that I find. So there's a lot of money being put into acquiring new guests, top of funnel, and the retention layer near the bottom, like after the guest has stayed with you, after they've actually experienced you, is sadly where a lot of business leaks out. The retention layer, that post-stay communication, that reason to return, that guest recognition, almost gets nothing, very, very little attention. So again, this is where your margin is leaking, and hotels keep paying to reacquire demand that they've already earned once. So one destination resort that I worked with made this shift, and when we built a full commercial picture, it became clear that almost nothing was going into retention. So we rebalanced it. We worked on repeat bookings, activities, and we were able to increase repeat bookings by 14% over 3 quarters. So, and that was over a shoulder season as well. So there is a lot of truth to spending time into retention. This is where you have the lowest hanging fruit, and something I always recommend to hotels that I work with. Now, the third takeaway move is to translate everything into 4 numbers that ownership always speaks. So occupancy, ADR, RevPAR, and direct revenue share. And a marketing report that doesn't connect to at least one of these is, again, going to miss the mark with ownership. So make that connection exist. And when you do, the meeting changes. You stop defending your work and you start demonstrating it. And there is a third takeaway, but this video is getting on a little bit, so I'm going to save that in the full breakdown of the blog, which I posted in the link below. You can go check that out. There are a lot of other takes that I share in there if this is something that you experience, the disconnect between marketing department and ownership, and maybe the misunderstandings that are happening in those PACE meetings. So the ultimate goal is to create the connection. And when you do, the meeting changes, and you can stop defending your work and you can start demonstrating it. So marketing stops being a part of the business expenses and becomes a part that they can see, they can follow, and they can get behind in with confidence. I've written this full breakdown. Again, I mentioned it in the blog, and the link is below. And this is where you're going to see about the hotel money market making mechanics framework, and you're going to see how that works in practice. And you're going to also read about how to connect your marketing to the 4 numbers that drive every budget conversation. Again, the link's in the description. If you're ready to have this built for your property, the first step is a free 30-minute discovery call with me. We could just talk about your hotel. Happy to help with any questions you also have. Thanks for watching.